Hi everyone, I want to ask you a question. If you were to pick one object that you loved, or that you're passionate about, that you know a lot about, what would be the words you would use to describe it? And then I want you to think of something just beautiful in the world, something that you love. You love the taste, you love to see it, the perfect sunset over the ocean as you're sitting on the sand. What are the words, the adjectives that you would use to describe something like that? All of the colors, the feeling, the breeze, the temperature, the emotions. Just picture with me how one thing, one object could have so many words that would aptly describe it. Because the name of God who we'll look at today helps us understand this aspect of God being the creator. The name that we'll look at today is Yahweh Bore, but Bore comes from the word bara, the verb or the action of to create in Hebrew. And you see God creating, or the act of creation, all throughout the Bible. And so that's why this name of Yahweh Bore comes from God doing the act of creating and creating and creating. And so he is acknowledged as the creator. Now I want you to think with me of all those adjectives that you would use to describe that object, and how if we were really fair to the object, it would have so many descriptive words. It's not what the typical guy would do. I remember coming home from hanging out with my friends all day, all night, doing all types of things, and my mom or my dad would say, "So how was it?" And I would say, "Good." And then they'd say, "What did you do?" And I'd say, "Nothing." And then they'd say, "Well, how was this person?" And I'd be like, "They're good." And guys are not good at doing this, at explaining this aspect of uniqueness in creating, because it would take so many words to explain the depths of the beauty of creation. Now, just think with me as you look around the world, or even as you look outside of your door, even if you look around your house or your apartment or wherever you live, how many items there would be to describe. And if you took the time, how many adjectives it would take to describe all of those things, and the list would just go on and on and on, and you wouldn't get very far before you got tired describing all of these things, because there's so many descriptive words that we can use, because that's God's creation. That's what God did, and that's what he has allowed people to create as well. Is there's so many beautiful aspects of creation. The way that we understand this the best, or the earliest in the Bible, is in Genesis chapter 1, where it says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." In the beginning, God bara, he created the heavens and the earth. And as we go through all of the things that he created, it helps us understand his power, and it helps us understand his creativity, but it also helps us understand the motivation behind this act of bara, this act of creating. I mean, if you are familiar with fruit in Asia at all, you are probably familiar with the fruit of durian. Now, durian is a very divisive fruit. Some people love it, some people hate it. But you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. But just imagine with me the words you would use to describe durian. What would you use to describe the smell of durian? What are the words that you would use to describe the taste of durian? What are the words you would use to describe the skin of durian, which, if you don't know, looks like a hard shell full of huge spikes that could kill you if they fell on your head? There would be so many unique words that would be used to explain durian, just one fruit out of hundreds, if not thousands, of fruits and vegetables and plants and trees. And that's just scratching the surface of objects in the world. That really, when we understand the depths of God's creation, we can understand the creativity that he had behind everything. And as you build something, as you create something, there's a pride behind it. I mean, have you ever made something, whether it be a dish, food, whether it be something with construction or with wood, or maybe it was something you'd written, or maybe it was a painting or a picture. No matter what your age, if you really put a lot of effort into that, you step back and there's this pride of creating this thing. And in the same way that God steps back with pride and he looks at his creation, and he looks at how he created everything, and every time he creates, it's good. Every time he looks down, he says, this is good. And this creativity, this aspect of God being Yahweh Bore, is another way to explain his strength, is another way to explain his power, that he is so strong, that he is so powerful, that he created all of these things that you would need so many words to describe them with. Now, this bigness of God is just too hard to explain sometimes. And that's why we have so many different names of God that describe an aspect and a different element of his power, a different element of his strength. And in this context, we have this element of creation. And when we see this element of creation, we see this element of pride, of joy, of looking down and saying, it's good. Because every time, especially in Genesis, you see this in the creation story, when God Bahrad, when he created, when he was acting as Yahweh Bore, he said, it's good, it's good, it's good. And then at the end of creating everything, he said, it's very good. So the power of creation is good. And I want you to think with me, if you have the power of God in you, you've got to have the power to create. You have the power of Yahweh Bore, the creator, who continuously Bahrad, who created. And when God created, the things that he created were good. So what are the things that you create? And I'm not talking about necessarily what you can build with wood and nails and screws, or what you can cook in the kitchen, but what type of atmosphere do you create where you're at? What type of relationships do you create in your life? What type of good do we bring to the world? Because if God is truly Yahweh Bore and we are followers of the Creator God, then we have the power of the Creator, the strength of the Creator in us. So that every place that we live and every relationship that we're in should be one where people would look at it and say, because she's here, because he's here, it's better, or it's good, or even it's very good. And that's when we know that we would be living like God, our Creator, Yahweh Bore. What are the things that you've created? Because you have the power to create so much change, so much goodness, so much love, and so much peace in the world, because you have the power of Yahweh Bore, the Creator God. And I hope we'll remember just how many adjectives God would use to describe us. And hopefully people would use to describe the impact that we've had in their lives. Because when we truly live as followers of the Creator God, we will also create. And we will create goodness and beauty wherever we go. I'm going to close with a passage out of Isaiah chapter 40, verse 28 through 31. It says this: don't you know, haven't you heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the Creator, Yahweh Bore, of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired, he will not grow weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power to the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary. Even young men stumble and fall. But if you trust in the Lord, you will renew your strength. You will soar on wings like eagles. You will run and not grow weary. You will walk and not be faint. That strength, that power, is to continue to live this life like God the Creator, like Yahweh Bore, to create good. And when that becomes the motivation of why we're living and how we're living, he will promises to give us strength to do more. God bless. Continue to look for opportunities to create places and relationships where God can live through you and people can experience him, his love, and his power, Yahweh Bore, Bahras, through his people, that you become an aspect and an outlet of God's creating goodness. So when people think of you, they say, she is good. He is good, because what you bring into their lives and what you bring into a situation is good, just like God, the Creator himself. God bless.